In the endless reaches of the universe, there once existed a planet known as Krypton, a planet that burned like a green star in the distant heavens. There, civilization was far advanced and had brought forth a race of supermen whose mental and physical powers were developed to the absolute peak of human perfection.
A simpler world required a simpler character. So what character does our complex world require of us? A Superman, all things to all verticals.
Hashtagged be thy name.
Buy my cereal. You know, for as much as I've talked about Batman on this channel, I have talked about Superman remarkably little. I talked about Man of Steel once, mostly in passing.
And for its sequel, we made the best deep dive ever.
One of the people with her had a tracking device, and so he gets shot.
Someone apparently important dies.
I'm not even sure they say his name in the theatrical cut. That's Jimmy Olsen.
Oh!
Well, that was Jimmy Olsen.
But it has been historically fairly difficult to make a Superman something worth talking about. I mean, when he isn't played by a CGI Nick Cage referencing a movie that Tim Burton never made. He doesn't make news like the other guys. Aquaman ran the table on you last time, my friend. The first Aquaman made over $1 billion, and not a single movie starring Superman has ever got close. There is something to the way the mainstream world at large reacts to characters this revered. Sometimes people are told to love someone without ever really knowing why. Here is a movie for why.
This is a movie from start to finish where Superman gets his ass kicked. He starts the movie losing, he then loses again, he gets hurt by fake kryptonite, he accidentally is instrumental in forming a Justice League, figures out how to make a life with his girlfriend, and he still sucks at being Superman. There we go!
Imagine you run Warner Brothers for a moment. Why are you laughing? Stop laughing. So, Disney has been stomping on your birthday cake in a rainstorm for the better part of, statistically, the lifetime of your principal demographic, and you're laughing. It's gone so bad that you accidentally started an extremist network of people really spiritually awakened by the movie 300 who actually prefer the What If Murder Boy Batman Cinematic Killerverse. A real whoopsie doodle. A prison of your own design. In the words of one of your boys, you're stuck in here with me. In the 2000s, an Aquaman movie was so theoretically bananas for Hollywood to even gamble on that Entourage dunked on this idea for a solid 2 seasons. This exact idea crushed pretty recently, and then we tossed aside that Aquaman and the birthday cake rainstorm. We live in a world ruled by fake math sold from snake oil carts. Let's be clear.
Synergize your verticals.
Make all your products everywhere serve one profit stream, therefore maximizing profit structure so conglomerated business octopi can democratize risk with big IP serving on multiple verticals of shit they and their allies own. Did I get all that? Hypothetically, you, Jonathan Warner Brothers, have woken up to a voicemail that...
Your Superman movie needs to perform at the box office, huh? Or we might have to perform an emergency reboot on your reboot to the rebooted cinematic universe, but also bring all those characters we discontinued back for brand symmetry insurance. Brrr. A sick curse I just made up. Haha, make sure the kids buy the backpack.
No Superman movie, which is true to this day, ever made $1 billion at the box office. This Superman is the closest, and it's not even close. That's telling and worthwhile data about the demographic for things culturally revered in the comic space and not seeing equal return in the cinematic market. We all literally just saw this with Fantastic Four, which was very good. A movie that failed to perform like a traditional Marvel movie. The Fantastic Four has also always done that. Superman 1978 was a breakthrough landmark built on heartfelt performance and special effects ingenuity. I think through the years that particular alchemy can be tough to replicate when you already met the genie in the bottle. And Superman's a hard dude to make relatable for people, you know, human people who go to movies and stuff. Oh, the toughest guy in the most universes needs a pick-me-up from his dad. In our modern hell era, that's a tough sell. Real talk, nobody's posting this shit on the internet. Clark Kent would get doxxed for being Superman in less than 36 hours. The Daily Planet would settle a defamation case with Lex Luthor. Like, Superman has to step up his current era to have an impact. Man of Steel walked literally similar framework here, but in Gunn's Superman, you get the feeling the world really does not give a shit about this guy. There's a billion other superheroes. We drown in them. We've been drowning in them for hundreds of years, which is setting Kal-El in the real cynical world, like metaphysically. Why should the world care about Superman? Who is Superman? To you. A character everyone can identify and name, but outside of the comic book realm, who even is that guy? Building a coherent identity for a single guy out of 90+ years of continuity written by hundreds of authors is impossible. So we have to exist in a lot of worlds. Superman is timeless, right? Something good in every era should still stand and be held accountable for their current era. Even if we live in the WB reboot season of corporeal reality. Even if Superman has to stand up and be held accountable to the Scooby era. God help us all, somehow it works. Being kind is punk rock in an era where people aren't even sure who or where they are anymore. Like, this Superman movie has to stand up and exist in a universe where the Minecraft movie exists. Superman isn't a superhero. He's the superhero, at least traditionally in the comic space. A character so powerful, it can be extremely difficult to make a compelling narrative starring a guy. Who leads the DCU but Superman? And yeah, we all know it's Batman, but kayfabe or something. A real human being, a child from another planet trying to be so nice that he never offends or lets anyone down. And everyone hates him anyway. Superman is the alien longing to be human. Batman is the human longing to be anything else. It's a fun dichotomy to play with, but the modern world is a complex ecosystem as it turns out. I don't think I was prepared in the year 2025 that I would be so moved by a Superman film quite like this, for lack of a better term. Extra? Though being moved by James Gunn is certainly not new for me or this channel, so. For the grand runway of my life, minus 2 really good Superman movies I saw when I was 5, that character holds a space in my mind with Christopher Reeve and with the Bruce Timm animated series. Oh, and Smallville, which premiered the year I started working in games, 2001. You were a product of the world that molded you. I've read Superman comics, but the character never stuck with me in that medium. I mean, I was the guy who wouldn't shut up about Why the Last Man in 2003. Comics are weird, man. Anyway, Superman 2025 reboot of the DCU Mother of Dragons film of the 7 worked on me hard. And I want to explain why. I'm not convinced this pace and scale can be kept up in the long term, but I see the goalposts and I see the subtlety, hilarious words I know of the premise and promise. Hit the ground running and never trip in 4 mediums is a bar. Superman is so many things, so many ideas from so many writers and artists. Like most Silver Age comics, Superman has its origins in World War II.
Video essay pause. Yes, I understand that Superman sort of manifested in 1938 as a result of the Great Depression. It did take him quite a few years to evolve into sort of the shape we know him as today, but more importantly, Hitler, man.
People needed hope in a world seemingly on the brink. What if Yellow Sun-powered super aliens who punch real good were the last hope of humanity? It both explains why children are so drawn to comic books, but obviously as are adults. We all crave a simpler solution, and we as humans are not wrong to wish for that. Escapism about a better world when you live in a worse one is evergreen. Superman 2025 is nestled in an idea that countries invading each other is possibly a shit way to exist, but also, and more importantly, not something that a civilized world can effectively deal with through diplomacy in our gestures horrifically. And I'm gonna cite the state of the world as my source on that one. You need someone that exists outside of government morality contracts to float over the humans and say, yo, this is wrong. Don't be like this. I don't care what document you signed in secret. Look, Russia invades Ukraine, and James Gunn took some of that setup into writing a comic movie. Maybe countries shouldn't be able to do this. Maybe pointing at the list of rules on the wall and gesturing emphatically is not a modern solution when the other side is firing ballistic missiles. I'm gonna get demonetized in a Superman video. No notes. Maybe this topic was so relevant that this mask would slip onto the next country illegally destroying and colonizing another one. Definitely demonetized now. You're tap dancing through a knife blizzard. A Superman movie that was 14 levels of sugar rush actually took a stand on the state of the world?
What?
This movie was so made for right now, you can apply its optics to kind of anything? This should, in turn, make a person reflect that a deep space alien life form correcting basic corrupt humanity on what the fundamental values of a human can and should be. That is, profound. You should be so profounded that you're like, oh, helping each other out is the whole thing, huh? Maybe that is punk rock. Pick up people that fall in the pit. This isn't rocket science or particularly new. I'm gonna say some terribly untough stuff here, so cover your ears if you're looking to be angry. I think being punk rock is picking people up in the pit. We're in dumb metaphor territory, but go with me. Superman in this movie loves the mighty Crabjoys. Even Sum 41 had a pit, dog. My point is, in my view, a fake punk is the guy that sees someone down and doesn't pick him up. I am very simple in my what is punk rock illusions. Maybe I have a real 80s and 90s view of punk shit. We used to punch Nazis in the face. We thought it was funny. Superman's woke now because he feels stuff and recognizes that as part of feral humanity, he might be responsible for those around him based on his ability to do so. Basically, he's a Kansas boy who was raised right. Superman, sorry to say, has never wavered on fascism. Hang on, I wrote this down. Being a pretty crap ideology he was violently opposed to. Before Kal-El was a dude sent here to help humanity
From a species who cannot help themselves.
In this movie, the big twist is that his parents, in their act of desperation in a collapsing world, sent their child to rule over a world they deemed inferior. Some stuff gets lost in translation, as they say. Who are you if everything you thought you were was a lie you told yourself so many times that it became fact? Superman gets imposter syndrome.
What is this?
Kal-El grew up one way, and in the moment he needed clarity most, found out his entire idea of identity and belonging in the world was a lie. It is this alienation from his own biological parents to a realization that parents are the people that raise ya. Stuff young adult movies should be about. Bam! Just like that, Superman is relatable. You are not a myth to be written in the stars. You're just a little guy who's had enough. Because Kal-El, go with me here, crashes the fuck out. This is a film about Kal-El getting his ass kicked over and over and over. But it's also a movie where Lex Luthor gets his ass kicked by a dog. And I said it in this voice. Put the word on the screen. Yeah. Video essays. Dichotomy. If you are a superhero that flies, sometimes you are a superhero that falls. When Superman arrived, he was already not special. He arrives into a proto-cinematic universe. The whole gang is here. Asshole Green Lantern, Murder Bird, and Mr. T-Face Man. If anything, this is a film making a case, while failing continuously, that the Justice League should exist. But not the corporate sponsored kind where justice depends on financial interest. Clark has a simple way to look at the world and to differing degrees affect all three members of the Justice Gang
Not our name makes us sound like cowboys.
into a less cynical worldview. That Guy Gardner, in peak asshole form, even exists in a movie is perfection. But watching him realize I'm not even being the Green Lantern on Earth very good, priceless. I love this movie, a movie about repeated failures, sometimes going through an anti-proton rainbow road with an alien baby. Video essays. An essential cog in understanding reality. To fly is to fall. We all do. Superman is anything but invincible. No cool bullet on the eye shot here. Terminator starts with Sarah Connor having the worst day of her life. Like the protagonist of The Terminator is not The Terminator. How do you make this relatable? And Lois Lane's quirk as a character is that she goes out of her way to not be relatable, to be good at her job. And then the curveball of the movie is Cal is even less relatable than the world believed him to be through no fault of his own other than gross naivete. It's a pretty radical departure for Superman to be sent here to rule us. I mean, on some level, everybody can't be the son of a fascist in the DC universe, though here, that's what makes him mighty. He says, nah, to his biological donor. Oh, true strength is figuring out the world for yourself and finding out your place in it? Oh, I am not super sold on the watch everything all the time methodology of storytelling, but that's what part 3 is about anyway. So I care about this one film, the origin, not of Superman, but of a pretty big bet. Huge bet. Sorry, let me rephrase again my mistake. A big bet by a studio who can't stop merging with other companies like a black hole. To fly is to fall. Superman is overconfident, he thinks he has everything figured out, and he's been at this for 3 entire years. If anything, this is kind of a movie about Superman's hubris, both in relationships and both of his jobs. He fails so bad he has to go home and get a pep talk from his parents, the ones that raised him. Superman gets a pep talk and still never stops failing. He immediately
I'm as human as anyone.
Has a meltdown, something Juilliard actor David Corenswet had trouble understanding within the mechanics of storytelling, which is what part 4 is about. Back to the falling thing. It's a very 2020s mentality. I've got the sun on my shoulder and nothing will ever go wrong because I am an invincible dude who is also a fake reporter. I said what I said.
And ethically, these interviews are hugely problematic.
This movie starts with Superman having already lost for the first time. He's about to lose for the second time. Then redefine what losing even is. No one, not even Superman, can deal with the full force of the world deploying every tool they have on you. A thing Lex pulls off without ever even having kryptonite. Just overload the system with bullshit.
Hashtag super shit.
The fall of Superman predicated on Lex making a surprise clone of Kal. Sort of the ultimate gaslight, taking these disparate, kind of over-the-top systems and saying something about what it is to be human right now in the world.
Hashtag super shit.
Kal having a full-on crash out on Lex is everyone in the 2020s. Isn't it hard enough without your incessant canoodling? I said the word, I'm not ashamed of it. Lex Luthor flooded the lanes with horseshit to make everybody's job, which is surviving in what appears to be a daily apocalypse, even more impossible than it already was. You don't even have to pick a billionaire, just close your eyes and the metaphor, it'll land. Flying and falling are the same thing. Stop me if you've heard this one. Just kidding, computers don't have ears. As a culture, and certainly myself as a person, we find ourselves at a crossroads. Culture has become one with everything. We are all content. You can't launch a superhero film anymore unless you launch a universe. And there is absolutely nothing that can make me not over that whole rat race. We got so preoccupied trying to make this a reality, I Am Legend, that we never stopped trying. The idea of the super connected metaverse is the eternal trapping of the modern world. I'm kind of already on the record saying I'm over the Marvel train, but I think stories should end. So my face would look pretty stupid if I super enjoyed this superhero movie on a level that kind of shocked me. I mean, I walked out beaming from 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies and The Suicide Squad, so I wasn't really all that shocked. But still, let us untangle this tumultuous yearning on display for a better world. Superhero movies don't generally stand up on moral ground, like ongoing humanitarian conversations about the current impact on the world stage and our daily lives. This new gun and saffron-shaped DC universe hits the ground running in such a way that is as refreshing as it is alarming. Superman stood up for something relevant in our own world, and this is relevant because our own politicians seem to find difficulty in articulating these basic human points. We are not playthings for the connected and wealthy. DC going toe-to-toe with a weekend Marvel in one movie is an accomplishment that deserves a moment of reflection. I think it's a testament to Peter Safran that he speaks James Gunn so eloquently that they did something impossible. I'm not convinced our world can handle this level of superhero for an extended era of time. I'm still pretty bearish on video game development slotting into this canonical nightmare anytime soon, but we'll just move on from there. The pressure begins. Everything about you is being overwhelmed. There is just always something else to worry about. Superman, the truest empath. Everything is his problem, and he carries it because he's a strong Kansas boy. But he didn't carry his whole movie. Maybe that's what Superman is actually about. He thinks he has to carry everyone, but it's everyone carrying him because he keeps falling. Okay, elephant in the room time. Hello, how do you do, good sir? I think we live in a world where good things cannot be singular good things.
I bet a lot of kids who enjoyed Superman were somewhat perplexed that there was a TV show that both Lex Luthor and Superman appeared on that they weren't able to watch, outside of the context of having too much stuff to occupy every quadrant of your attention with tentpole entertainment. The superhero megasphere catering more to adults than to kids feels weird, man. Also, sequels shouldn't happen this fast. What is happening? But hey, I'm not a studio strategist. I don't want to end on a dour note about the future, especially for a Superman movie I really enjoyed, something that hasn't been true for a long time. That is amazing. So let's talk about Superman's most human moment of all. The crash out is the thing that makes you human. Shh. Doesn't have to make sense. Comes after the fall. Superman hits the point where he cannot sanction Lex Luthor's buffoonery any longer, so he goes ballistic on him. After Lex kidnapped his dog and did a simian psyop on his mental health, no less. In the making of material for Superman, they are shooting behind the scenes coverage when something absolutely profound happens. I went from an 8 to a 10 for this movie upon seeing it, and I want to dissect this moment, so gather around, my wayward carpet squatters. Sometimes, especially with art that connects, you gotta find it when you're making it. We have to find the ability to portray humanity on screen in a way that other people can understand. This can be frustrating and exhilarating in equal measure. Not everyone sees the world how you do, especially in expensive, fluid moments. The crew is doing a job, so it can be a lot of pressure on actors and directors to know when to take a second and find a moment that doesn't make sense to everyone in the scene. A bit of setup here. James wrote a scene to finally let Cal stick it to Lex like a human being, messy and emotional, but real. Superman is finally like, you did this to you, man. I'm just a guy trying to stop you from killing a lot of people. Okay, in reality, you have a Juilliard-trained actor, someone who will find the truth of a story and a person in the most mechanical of fashion. And therein lies our messy paradox.
It's the moment of you acknowledging your own weakness, your own hurt feelings, so that everyone that hears Superman knows that that's okay for all of us to feel that way.
Revisit that moment when Clark goes to his dad, spiraling for purpose in light of his parents being gods to him that sent him away to do tyranny and hedonism.
I'd say what you wanted that message to mean says a whole lot more about you than what anyone meant for it to mean.
Bradley Cooper, you messy bitch. Clark realizes that lineage doesn't make you who you are. You do. I think I've said that before. He walks away from this moving moment from his Earth father and as a Juilliard moment.
Don't I feel better now that I've heard that thing, that really important moment that happened earlier with my adopted father? Didn't that make it better?
How is this guy then going to crash out again on Lex? Logically, he should be over it, right? His dad kind of talked him through it. This is the fundamental disconnect David Corenswet cannot piece together, and then...
You should just, it's not right or wrong anything. None of it is right or wrong. All of it is being vulnerable and being a human being. For you to talk about how it's okay to be vulnerable, you have to be vulnerable, which means showing Lex that your feelings are hurt. In the point when you really shouldn't.
Art and its creation is not always profound, but when you are arguing with a Juilliard actor about the space politics of a sex cult orphan, it hits you. You know what makes you good. Humans protect each other when they're able. They'll fist fight and throw Twizzlers at each other, but when the shit hits the fan, hey, that's what superhero movies are about. Humans go to bat for each other against the inhuman monsters that would invade and dehumanize them. And in the end, the crash out is against a world hell-bent on not letting you just do good, even if doing good is a messy process worthy of criticism. Superman is inarguably a net good in the cinematic world. Maybe the war crime of putting the dictator against the cactus at a force I'm sure the constitutional lawyers are salivating to argue in court for the better part of 10 years won't have a resolution anytime soon. Superman has already made the extrajudicial decision to exert force on a foreign government as an undocumented American and already has numerous critics, one of whom he's dating. Hot girl just kills the guy. It's messy as shit, just like lovable, naive Clark Kent. Superman is the goodest one, and it gets rockier from there. Okay, so the moral lines for the DC universe are between killing violent dictators and applying the legal amount of force upon a violent imperialist held against a UN-certified cactus. Like the corporate-sponsored crime-fighting scene has a foreseeable ethical and moral issue. Like a crime-fighting team would, but in a world with supervillains, you need unconventional, somewhat lucky solutions. Like you need a guy like Superman to be making the call here. This is all impossible, but Superman's arch nemesis is an edgelord and a superbrain, so add gaslighting a man with a simplified view of the world to the list of crap Clark has to carry. As setups go, I was kinda dumbfounded. Gunn made a case for the Justice League and won. Because when the world starts falling apart, you need an unimpeachable beacon of life and liberty. Superman, in his first movie, went against the interests of the United States because the world is not the same. But in lieu of that, Superman crashes out on the guy who really does deserve it. Dude is out here punching kaiju and Lex is like, "Did you see Superman's tweets?" And maybe the alien yelling at the human to, just for this one time, be an actual human being and shut up. In a world where metahumans have existed for centuries, Superman is mundane. Hey, that's our world. Oh, I see what you did there. Superman can pulverize a city and everyone in it, but that doesn't mean there isn't a guy in the middle of it just struggling to exist. The strongest guy in the world isn't sure who he is supposed to be, let alone who he actually is. Even the toughest guy in the world isn't invincible. In a movie where Superman cold cocks a kaiju, which accidentally gets that fool got, it manages to be profound. Superman is strong because he knows what right and wrong are. The reality is most of us are just trying to do our best and help make the world a better place. You cannot fly unless you fall. To live is to fail. Get used to it.